So moving on, we're going to continue the KamSandwich Worst Tabletop RPGs. We saw the previous 3 best of the worst, and one of which was made by a literal cultist who tried to curse people in forums and then realized in hindsight the game actually was bad and made public statements about it and was very reasonable and learned something on the internet, which in its own right is insane because it's sane. If you've been on the internet long enough, what I said doesn't sound like a non sequitur and actually makes sense. For everyone who understands it just like I do, yeah, it's too late for you, man. We're all stuck. Sorry. Let's go on to what is now going to be the worst options. I'm sure nothing here will cause me to question my sanity, because that would imply I have it. I don't.
Of a game. But before we learn what that means, we need to first delve even deeper into the fiery pit. As what could possibly be worse than an RPG born from a cult? That's right, an RPG born of fanfiction.
What?
Wraithu. Wrathu?
Wraithu? Oh, it's Wraith. Why do oh God, I know I was just wondering, like, so they made something real based on a fan fiction of another property. And then I realized what that reminded me of. That's freaking 50 Shades of Grey origin story. The book that made me appreciate Stephanie Meyer's command of the English language, where I don't like some of the plot lines she chose, but I like that she could actually speak and write English correctly without making stupid freaking references to how things are going downhill, so you describe an elevator going up. Chapter 1. I had to read it for an entire challenge. I regret everything. It's still visible, and I hate it so much. Let's not think about that.
From enchantment to fulfillment. Wraithu is the 2005 RPG based on the Wraithu Mythos series of books by Storm Constantine.
That's a real thing? I'm sorry, I just... Honestly, I thought it was going to be their own fan version of Wraith the Annihilation, but apparently not.
Taking place in the same setting and carrying the same general themes. The game started out
Very
as only
70s
a
and 80s.
fanfiction guide before evolving into a fully fledged official project.
This is official? They looked at... Oh, God. I don't even know what it is yet. But already I'm having a lot of questions of someone's sanity. Granted, they called it Wraithu, so...
Featuring the author. You can tell that it's official because it's being sold for $40. $40! The last 2 games that we looked at were free!
Yeah, can you imagine if you, randomly bought a book for a game that cost more than $40? Yep, that's $40. Yep. Yep, it'd be a real shame if that was somehow actually the problem. I blew way more money on that book than I really should have. And I got a deal because the other ones were like double the price. Yep, yeah, money.
But maybe the price is for the presentation. After all, we have a lovely photo on the front featuring a dagger with a flower in its shadow. Very artsy, much enjoy.
That's the flower? Oh, I thought it was just a weird interpretation of the reverse find of the dagger itself. Also, I've actually had the book really early on. I probably had it for like the last month. I've got it pretty early.
But what the heck is even in this game, and what the heck is a Wraithu? Well, from what I can gather, the Wraithu that you play as in the game are a...
Ooh, no, let me guess. It's someone's super special, ultra-powered, this is my OC, don't steal. But it's an Eastern ghost, because I saw someone looking like they were wearing some kind of courtly vestment.
New race of tall, slender, hermaphroditic mutants that are able to transform other male humans into Wraithu by way of a blood transfusion.
You know, I didn't think it would immediately make me feel that my estimation was too high. And yet somehow it did.
Right, of course.
I just remembered this is an official source, so this is actually what the entire books that were written about this did. There's actually someone who wrote multiple books on what it is definitely not their fetish.
This setting and entire process is conveyed in the prologue story when a nerd character is bullied by some jocks until one of these hair metal looking morons kills all of the jocks and then turns the nerd into one of these Wraithu, where I think he then hooks up with his old best friend who was also turned into one a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, this is definitely someone's fetish. If I had any question about that, I don't anymore. Yowie vamps, yeah.
What? Basically what is going on here is that humanity is in decline and the Wraithu are slowly taking over. And instead of playing as the humans fighting against the threat, you are playing as the Wraithu trying to finish off the last of the humans. Also, the Wraithu are super special awesome and like the humans totally don't even stand a chance.
Oh, so I was right. It actually is still the, this is my OC, super special, awesome, don't steal. It literally is that as well. So I was both right and yet somehow so far off because I was giving it way too much credit. I hate everything I just said.
Also, the Wraithu are constantly hooking up with each other because they totally don't mess with any commitments. Also, the Wraithu are like so much more advanced even though they live in tribes and huts. Aren't these guys super cool? You know, for how awesome the Wraithu are and how much cooler they are than these stupid little idiot humans, they're kind of extremely unlikable. They're rude to each other, they're extremely flippant, they don't care about anything, they're lazy, they're annoying. Why in the world would I want to roleplay as one of them?
Again, this is a very thinly veiled fetish. People have some weird kinks, man. Oh god, it literally is just the game version of 50 Shades. Why is it everything I say about this somehow turns out to be exactly what I thought, but worse? I'm not okay with this.
These things. I mean, for real, do you want to try and guess one of the Wraithu's biggest weaknesses?
Plot? Well-written dialogue? Character development?
Nihilism. What a joke.
I mean, if you were these people, you'd probably be very nihilistic too, because, oh, I have no soul, or ability to do things of value.
This is a group of beings that is actively trying to exterminate the human race worldwide. How did you make them so lame? The game itself is nothing special. It's your standard D20 system that bases actions off of stats. But there is one interesting part, which is for some reason the amount of magic that you can have is directly tied to how much you weigh. But since all Wraithu are very slender by their nature, your total magical power is going to be determined by how tall you are.
So it's a bunch of really twiggy giants.
Huge apology to my short Wraithu kings. I know it's tough out there right now, but if you just stick with it, things will get better, I promise. No part of the actual gameplay presents itself as particularly egregious, but everything about the setting and how things work in the world is either creepy, half-baked, or borderline nonsensical.
And you can definitely tell someone's a big fan of hair metal. Like, there's definitely someone here who looked at Gene Simmons and Kiss and went, yep, this is now my entire personality. Which, honestly, was probably exactly what a lot of people did, unironically. And I also see why this is now so far down the list, because the first one we did, the Cyborg Commando, terrible game system, not actually playable, because the main weapon can't be used, so you can't actually do the game. But the lore around it sounded really interesting to the point where I would actually consider just buying a copy if I ever sounded like a yard sale or something, because I like cool little game systems like that. It'd be a really good fluff book that you don't use for the actual game itself, but maybe just as a reference to other things. This is the exact opposite, where it's a perfectly fine game, but the actual everything else is trash.
Example, did you know that while wearing chainmail armor, you are 100% protected from all damage given by flamethrowers? Do not try this at home. Oh, and by
I'll be honest, though. I think the people who would find this system interesting, they've probably tried that at home.
Way, remember from my previous description that...
Also just realized this is I abuse Linux. No, dude, that's fine. That's just called using Chromium.
Wraithu can only convert male humans into Wraithu via a blood transfusion. Women cannot become Wraithu via normal means, so they don't have a lot to do in the story. Luckily, our glorious author has thought of this and has penned a workaround, as it is encouraged by the game that the remaining men on Earth treat the remaining women as Also on the topic of good lord, why did you make me read that, when you change into a Wraithu, your appendage also transforms as well, with it now resembling something closer to a tall, bloomed plant. So if you come across any flowers on this adventure, I'd be wary about what those could really be.
Also, I'm being told that people are talking about some of the other fan-made system, and one of them mentioned Princess the Hopeful. I've actually heard about that one. I've heard really good things about that, which apparently is the Chronicles of Darkness version of a previous fan system that was made to just make fun of like magical girls, the marketing or something. But it was supposed to be like so tongue-in-cheek, but apparently it's actually really good, and I've heard people unironically say it's amazing. I haven't played it myself because I've only ever played Mage, but it actually sounds really good, mostly because it focuses on aspects that a lot of World of Darkness doesn't, which are not nihilism. It's one of the reasons I like Mage. It's not nihilistic.
Oh no, and that is Wraithu from Enchantment to...
Oh, the cover was a dick pic. I literally just figured out as soon as he censored it. Oh, that's why he called it a flower early. And Horrier's just in the chat. I'm going to pull this up. Yep, he said he called it. You told me it would be painful. It gets worse. It still gets worse. Apparently, the previous in Senshi, the merchandising was the old World of Darkness, where Princess the Hopeful is Chronicles. Although I've actually heard more good things about the new fan work for Princess than Senshi. Again, both what I just mentioned, fan works, not official. Just really loved, even though they were meant as jokes. Let's get back to the, oh god, why is this going to be the best thing we see in this entire list so far?
Fulfillment. Overall, not a great game in and of itself, but when you add in all of the extra materials and the setting and the characters, holy cow, I never want to look at this again. It's also managed to put me off of ever pursuing the source material entirely.
Yep. It's literally just someone's thinly concealed fetish, which might sound more like a bad thing, except there's a lot of fiction that is literally just thinly concealed fetish. 50 Shades, Twilight, almost every vampire novel ever, frickin' Dracula. I can keep going, man. Hell, Frankenstein was described as a perfect-looking human who was off-putting because of his golden eyes. And if you think about this, it's literally just describing the Emperor from 40K.
Which people who have read both are saying is not nearly as bad as the game makes it out to be.
Is it though?
I mean, good on Storm for working with the fans to expand this into new media, but sometimes you've got to say no. Before we reach...
Also, Saddlebag in the chat, I'm just going to read out your comment because maybe it'll make me feel better. Cam is good about skimming over the really unpleasant stuff. He likes keeping things lighthearted, which I'm very glad about, which you're sure I would appreciate. You're right. You are very right about this. Because if he went into detail on that, I would be much less okay with it.
The point of no return with our remaining titles, I think that now would be a good time to have a nice palate cleanser with some honorable mentions.
Wait, these are the ones that were too good? Oh, lovely. This is better.
These titles are not actually bad games, but their existence is really funny, so
Oh?
I wanted to give them a quick mention. A massive thank you to Alice Katarina for sending these my way.
Ooh.
About time we had some stupid funny.
He actually censored it in front of him as well.
Bloodsucker: The Angst. A satirical vampire RPG where you play as angsty teens living in the new vamp world.
Unironically, I'm pretty sure that's just how most people treat vampire bloodlines. The old one, specifically. Yeah. Every time someone talks about Vampire the Masquerade, this is exactly what I'm thinking already. I don't think there's a difference.
If you manage to increase your angst level, you get better stats and more dice.
It doesn't change anything. It really doesn't.
Kill Puppies for Satan, a satirical dark power RPG where you play as a bunch of Satanists trying to
Considering a game that sells a lot in regular bookstores is exploding kittens, this doesn't even seem that odd.
accomplish a goal for Satan,
I'm being told there's a My Immortal RPG. I will never acknowledge that comment.
gaining power along the way for being cruel to cute things. The characters that you play as in the game are portrayed as massive losers, and it's implied that Satan
Greasy.
gives them power out of pity. Included in your table is a stat for how many people hate you. Macho Women with Guns, a satirical sci-fi RPG where you play as either buff
Can we all acknowledge there's a Sister of Battle in there? Yeah, I'm just going to throw it out there.
bat-winged demon women or warrior Harley-Davidson nuns, both of whom wield large firearms. The game was designed in under 2 weeks and immediately became the publisher's most popular game.
Selling 10,000 copies in the 80s. Actually, no, that makes perfect sense. This is literally the 80s aesthetic. I'm kind of surprised they don't have any feral cat girls in this. It's the only thing it's missing.
And finally, Maid, a satirical maid RPG where players play as a maid trying to serve and protect the
Is that a random robot girl? Okay, that's a random robot girl. Huh. This might sound weird, but I almost feel like I've seen this author before, Ryo Kamiya. It sounds familiar, and I don't know why.
master of the mansion. Maids can get up to all kinds of wacky antics, like doing laundry.
What was that little spin animation they did there?
Maids can get up to all kinds of
Was there an image in there I missed?
doing laundry, fighting the
Okay.
Yakuza, or using their built-in cyborg enhancements to rescue the master from the
Oh, that's the master? I thought he was a butler. Huh. I'm going to be honest, though. This feels like a very normal anime. I'm not even joking. Like, unironically, this just feels like an anime you'd find somewhere. Standard copy of it.
Netherrealm. This was the first ever Japanese RPG to be translated and released in English.
Oh. So, unironically, this is historically relevant. Huh. Yeah, this is actually a palate cleanser.
And I think that covers all of the honorable mentions.
Oh, yeah, the group 2 honorable mentions and then made. Yeah, just good. Yeah, this just looks good. Let's get back to the pain.
Nope, okay, I think we're good then. Remaining in the collection.
What did that say?
Honorable mentions. Anybody else?
Let these mermaids touch you. What? Oh, why are they sparkly? Riverhouse Games. Okay.
Nope, okay, I think we're good then. Remaining in the collection that I have for you today are 6 total games.
Also, I'm being told by JFK2 Mister in the chat. I'm just going to pull this up right now. Yes, Maid RPG, aka the curveball that you can throw into your Dark Heresy game without changing the system. And Martin immediately wants to play Dark Heresy because he likes 1E, which I've been told is so incredibly weird. It's actually funny, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Unfun fact, Maid has you roll for random colors of your hair. Uniform transparent is an option for both. Is that more likely or less likely? And I don't know if there's a stat for that, but that's actually kind of hilarious to me. If there's a way to make your body transparent as well, you have the easiest time drawing your character. Which for me might actually be important.
Each one belonging to one of 2 groups. The original Unholy Trinity and the modern Unholy Trinity.
What?
Yes, the power dynamics within the worst TTRPG hierarchy are constantly changing.
They get
the
worse?
original Unholy Trinity held power for 6 years until it was usurped for the title by the current triumvirate in 2002. So let's take a
Oh, so we're talking about an entire generational shift of horrible here. So it was probably the old school when TTRPGs were taking off around when Dungeons and Dragons was being created in the 70s, 80s styles, coming up to the new century. I'm never going to refer to it that way again. That actually is painful. I'm never doing that. And then everything after that, which was also just pain.
Look at that original Unholy Trinity and see what allowed them to rise to power in the first place.
Never played it. Heard about it.
Starting off with the original worst TTRPG of all time, The Spawn of Fashawn.
It's even just in spiral bound? I mean, the art does feel like early D&D.
Care about anything else. That name is fun to say. That might be the best part of this game. The Spawn of Fashawn is the 1981
Book
fantasy
1.
RPG that was
Wait, when is it? 1981?
Spawn of Fashawn is the 1981 fantasy
81,
RPG
yeah.
that was self-published by Kirby Davis, starting off strong by selling an electric 17 total copies during its.
Does that even count as publishing at that point? Like, unironically, if you've only done 17 copies, that's not selling them. That's begging family members.
Original run. Hey, fully original creation and they sold it for less than Wraithu? I just really hope that it outperformed that. Spawn of Fashawn is really more of a system, but one that has everything that you need to run your own game.
Oh god.
Monsters, combat, character creation, heck, it even gives you a full-on world that you can use for your first adventure.
Why does it say Biddles, Jungle, Biddleston, Crumbuds, Inner, Lake Jarrow, Tropical Savannah? That's literally two different Oh, I see where this is going. Waterfish. Sorry, the Waterfish. And Sea of Salt.
The mystical far-off land of Boozboodle. I don't know what people are complaining about. These are the greatest names I've ever seen in a game.
I'll be honest, if this was a tongue-in-cheek game meant for basically playing hobbits, I would agree with him. That would actually be perfectly fitting.
Well, let's try to look past the awesome naming scheme and take a look at the game itself. Starting us off, the organization is horrific. Every sin you can imagine is taking place in this book. References are only made to generic terms, references to rules include references to other rules, and none of the tables are numbered or placed in a cohesive order. There is also no table of contents or index. My guy really said, oh, you want to see a rule?
In other words, bad design elements. So far, though, nothing nearly as egregious as everything we saw so far. Which is scary because it's so much lower on the list. So something here has to be worse than just bad game design.
Go find it. This makes doing anything for the first time extremely painful, as a lot of actions reference other rules and how they connect, but they won't provide a page or section number.
That's just a self-publishing issue, though.
Referring to, and with no guide at all on where that rule can be, it is going to be an entire adventure to learn how to set up your time in Boozboodle. Once you do figure out how to figure out the rules, then you can start making a character. Pick a boy or girl. This is an important decision to make, because female characters will automatically start out with half as many dice for their strength, constitution, and hit point rolls. But never fret, as they also get 50% more dice on their charisma rolls.
Gonna be completely honest, I play the sorcerer a lot. That would actually be an unironic advantage. I mean, can you imagine if you played a sorcerer who's just straight up charisma as the only stat that matters and it's 50% advantage? Unironically, that is amazing. Yeah. Also, I usually play a wild magic sorcerer, and I've begged the dice gods, aka bribing the ref, well, not the ref, the DM, to let me use the D10,000 table a few times. So, yeah. I'm proud of that, actually, because there's some bullshit you can pull off on that list, man. Can you imagine if I could even get more -1s to immediately crit, but also literally on myself and everything around me because everything suddenly is random bullshit go? Wrong system, but I would definitely try.
See, it all cancels out, you know.
Oh, it's very stupid, though.
PEMDAS. No time to be mad about that, though, as we're moving on to the tables. Or rather, The ones that just straight up aren't finished.
Oh, they didn't even
Yes,
finish?
Several tables in the Spawn of Fashawn have a bunch of values that lead absolutely nowhere. Like how all female characters must roll on the Destiny table due to having the...
They just randomly have schizophrenia, melancholia, and there's multiple references to different types of schizophrenia. Sorry, did you say all females have to have this? Yeah, I see why this is bad. This is getting worse. Also, Martin, oh yeah, Airier, would you mind linking me the D10,000 table for reasons? I don't know where the link is. Hoarier, he does in the chat.
Destined mental illness, but there not being any actual Destiny table anywhere in the game. What it tells you to do for these is fill them in yourself. Go nuts, go wild. Reality is your oyster, and
did I mishear that? I thought he said every female character has to do that.
Being on the Destiny lead absolutely nowhere. Like how all female characters must roll on the Destiny table due...
Okay, one is being sexist. This is just being dumb. Which is also being sexist, but just even worse.
Table anywhere in the game. What it tells you to do for these is fill them in yourself. Go nuts, go wild. Reality is your oyster, and it's happy hour. Why did I buy the book if I'm filling
How much
it out
did you get it for?
myself? Speaking of things that don't exist, magic.
Also, just going to throw it out there. The entire comment about why you're going to buy a book if you just fill it out yourself. There is an entire genre of novel where it's story prompts, where it lets you fill in the things you want. They made a joke about this on Family Guy, saying Brian did a do it, made it, love it. And it's just like random prompts. He just wrote nothing. It's all blank space for you to do yourself. It's essentially a journal with extra steps. Those are real. That is an actual business model. I hate this. Because at least journals, it's like useful, but it's just journals with extra steps. That's all it is. And people buy them and they spend so much money. And my wife, on the other hand, is going that she loves them. And I can no longer say anything about my hatred for them because I definitely don't anymore. She's correcting me and said it was called Wish It, Want It, Do It.
There is none. No spells, no effects. There is just straight up no magic in this world at all. Hey, Cam, give me a fantasy RPG.
I mean, to be fair, if you're going to roll fully into it, just go full on charisma build, man. Because if there's no magic, charisma is magic, and you can convince anyone of anything. It's the most fun way to play that game at that point, because strength is boring.
You got it, Chief. And hold the magic. Hold the magic. And hold the adventure. Hold the Hey, give me a fantasy RPG with nothing. Nothing? But okay, there's gotta be...
Actually, I'm pretty sure that is literally just... what's that game that just came out with? It's just historical fiction at this point. Yeah. Also, I think there was a game that just came out. I cannot remember the name of it. Like Bannerlord? Maybe. That's not the one I'm thinking about, though. It literally just came out earlier this year, and apparently it was really good.
Something to do in this game. How about we get into a fight? A brawl, a bash, a good
No fighting mechanics installed?
Put up your dukes, boys. Who's going first? Well, to determine initiative, you simply need to add 2d6 to each fighter's detect level, which requires you to flip to the senses table, which will then showcase the number that you add to your die roll for everyone in the fight. In D&D, initiative is found by...
And he couldn't find the table, so it might not even be made. Oh, God. I just realized something. This is the worst of prior to 2002. It's going to get worse than this. This is the upside still.
Rolling one die. But now it's time to fight it out, the process of which Roger Wilcox describes to us in his beaming review.
Shooting yourself in the foot?
You need to find the reflex comparison, an equation to see if either fighter gets bonuses for having better reflexes. Then you determine if you want to make a light, normal, or heavy attack sword and sandal style. Then you determine what area of the enemy you want to hit, head, torso, or limbs. Unlike Dead Earth, it is harder to hit the smaller targets.
Again, I'm just going back to, if you're targeting limbs, I'm just thinking this is essentially Battletech. It's just without the positioning being done by literally looking at the model and saying, hey, I can see this side of you.
Then you roll a d20, consult your modifiers, and get the number you use to determine a hit. Before you...
Unironically, I don't mind rule systems this complex in digital games. Because a lot of this stuff that takes so long in pen and paper and physical mediums, if you're doing it digitally, it's all background tasks and you just get the answer. It's why you can get a lot more heavy rule lore stuff into some of the mods for Battletech, as opposed to the actual game itself, where to do one attack phase, you need an hour to roll it out correctly. If you're playing fun, at least.
See if you hit, though, you need to give the opponent a chance to either parry or dodge. Whichever one you choose, consult the respective table, each containing subtables based on what you are fighting. Then you see if any equipment your enemy has impacts their chance to parry or dodge, then roll to see if they parry or dodge.
I'm honestly not sure if the screen is actually losing color as he talks or if it's just my perception of it. I honestly don't know which one I prefer either. But again, everything here, this system is needlessly complex, but in a digital game, it's not bad. This is not a digital game. This is 80s. They did not have that. I wouldn't mind someone stealing it for later when all of this is handled by the computer programs, but now, oh God. I mean, if you take out the entire, this is stupid, it's unfinished, and you can definitely tell this person's an incel. If you take out, most of the actual game, it's fine. Needlessly complex for this style of game, but not bad. I'm assuming I'm about to have my mind changed on that, though, because it's definitely going to get worse. Also, Pilot 1, thank you, too. No, this isn't the worst of the pre-2002. This is the first to ever claim the worst title. There are 2 more that sat on the throne before 2002. Oh, I misunderstood that. New Yorker, how is this supposed to be fun? Easy. When you're not doing it. I like needlessly grindy systems when someone else is doing the needlessly grindy shit. That's why I like Roll20. Because a lot of the macros you can make for all of the complicated dice rolls in D&D, when you play some really high level bullshit and everything gets super complicated and would normally slow the game down, you just press a button and it's done. As soon as you set it up once, you're done. That kind of ease, because of an automated system, is great. It's also why Baldur's Gate 3 is so good, because it has so many options for miscellaneous bullshit you can engage with, but you're not dealing with the bullshit yourself. So you can have it being done in the background as a setup to give complexity, not to give aneurysms. And yours, sir, what the fuck was the guy who made this thinking? Oh, I think we know exactly what it is. It's probably somewhere along the lines of, I don't have a girlfriend. I'm not entirely sure I'm joking, because that first half very much felt like it.
Now you can determine if your strike hit by cross-referencing the...
Also, Martin, you think complicated dice in 5e? No. I'm not talking about normal 5e. I'm talking when you're playing a level 30 game with rules from D&D Advanced. When you're playing things that Airier makes up that are meant to start with 1,000 damage as the baseline. I have only ever played heavily homebrewed 5e to the point where it very much is more advanced than it is 5e. I am not the right person to describe 5e because I don't think I've ever played that game correctly.
Weapon with the opposing armor class on the combat results table to get the number you needed to roll to hit. Add your...
Also, Hammer, if you're wondering about that, I don't think we... No, we did actually stream that one. It was level 30 and it was rough. Hit 5,000 damage multiple turns in a row. It was fun.
Reflex modifier to increase or decrease that hit number. If the number you rolled is equal to or higher than that number, you hit the target. I refuse to cover damage calculation. Go read the review if you're up for some more brain melt. You
automation
have to go
helps.
Through all of this
in person.
Single
fuck
time
that.
You attack or are attacked.
No, my response would be firewood to the game book. And Airier just going, trust me, the person who made this is perfectly sane compared to the current unholy trinity. If I have to see this comment, you do as well. On Quantum, our Lost Mines of Phandelver were Sua's 5th edition mostly. Yeah, you're right. We did kind of first D&D game. It was mostly 5th edition. Then there was Jackie, Airier's character, who was very homebrew adjacent. Oh, no.
Who are the 17 psychopaths that bought this?
Their mom, their dad, their brothers, their cousins, their teacher, and the people at the truck stop who they would not let leave and get back in their car until they took a copy. I'm saying take, because they just found $1 on the ground where they ran away before paying. And technically they stole gas and maybe part of the entire setup for the gas station. And there was probably repairs and maybe a small outbreak of fire later. The explosion was completely coincidental. But technically it counts as a sale, and they're going to stick to that.
Sorry, 17 on the original run.
There was another one.
Our boy Kirby here learned that the game was gathering a sizable ironic following. He offered up some reprints in 1998 for anyone who wanted a physical edition. On top of that, in 2021, he released the 40th anniversary edition of the game, including the foreword from the 98 reprints, a new look at the game's history, and quote, a long missing table of contents and index. If you keep it out of the original.
It took 40 years for him to do it, and I don't know if I should respect him for coming back and actually fixing his mistake, or hate that all of this exists. Because it feels like it's more of a joke about his old, dumb, embarrassing past at this point. It really does feel like that. But at the same time, oof.
No, you can add it back in later as a feature. Gosh, doesn't this entire experience sound like a freaking blast? Well, good.
I mean, honestly, again, it's not the worst thing we've heard about. How much worse is it going to get?
Good news. You can still buy this gosh darn thing straight off of Amazon. I can.
You know what? I shouldn't even be surprised about that. This makes perfect sense. Yeah, not even, that just makes sense.
Not believe this thing is still alive. Most of these vanish off the web within the same year they go up, and yet here's Spawn of Vashon.
Oh god, I just realized what this is. This is literally the room of tabletop games. It's not good. It's horrible. But you know it's horrible. And you go into it knowing it's horrible, and it is exactly as bad as you think. But you want to be there to say that you have had the horrible. Huh. Unironically, though, I mean, other than the not having magic and not being sure if charisma does anything, it would kind of suck if you want to do like a trickster who does very charismatic bard actions as a guy, though, because you're automatically disinclined to that. It kind of just shoehorn you into only playing as a female at that point, because that seems like the most important thing, because 50% advantage on charisma is very important, especially in a game that is so horrible in combat you would never want to get into it.
Still selling physical copies 44 years later.
Amazon printing is print on demand. It does not count as physical printing. It does it, but it's because it's made to order. It's a very inefficient process, and so many people do it that they're not actually so much taking advantage of that. They're just taking advantage of the fact that uploading a file based on pre-renders that are already part of the Amazon printing process is very easily. There's no backlog of these being held. It's they bought one, you print it, you ship it, you're done. It's all automated. And I mean that even more than a few years ago, because they're now introducing robots to be the ones picking items to then move out. How well that's going to work out, I don't know, but they're already laying people off because they think it's going to work. You're welcome.
That right there, that's the power of a great name. But not every member of the original Trinity was able to survive for this long. As a perfect example of fleeting power comes from the youngest member of that group.
What?
Sinzar. Dude, what is...
Okay, let's just be completely honest here. You're looking at this, and all you can say is someone watched Star Wars. They got to the, Prince Xanadu or something, whatever his name was, which was kind of a thing for a while when they were doing, their own expanded universe. And then they moved on. And they're like, what if he was even more muscular and had horns? Before Maul exactly did that. This is someone who is very much a big fan of Star Wars, but the expanded universe only. They don't really like the movies because they're too down to earth. And maybe they watched a bunch of Flash Gordon. It is exactly that kind of person. If I'm wrong, I'm going to be very surprised, but also disappointed.
What's up with these names? The Spawn of Vashon, Sinzar.
No, I mean, this is the naming.
They are tearing it.
What just happened? That was weird. But no, this is the naming scheme for things in the previous 1900s. This is very much exactly the kind of thing I think. Hell, even the stylization of Sinzar feels like something you would see in most sci-fi at this time. I'm assuming at this time it's maybe in the 80s, because it feels like something that would be sci-fi in the 80s and the 90s. Even the 90s would be a little bit of a stretch here.
Up out here. Sinzar role-playing for the next millennium, alternatively titled Sinzar Break Through the Dream Barrier If You Dare,
That's
is the
dumb.
1996 fantasy RPG where you attempt
96? Yeah, I guess it's... yeah. I can see it. It has that feeling of someone, though. I would have said 80s. I would have said 80s because of the musculature being so much wider than his hips. It feels like that overly muscular Rambo wasn't jacked enough vibe.
to have a lot of fun by
Prince
being
Zizor, that's the
really
one, yeah.
cool. No joke, that is the main aim of the game. The center goal behind Sinzar is to become as powerful as you can possibly be, becoming both stronger and cooler until you one day ascend to the level of a god, who then goes on to become so powerful that he can best other gods. This
Fist of the North Star. That's what this reminds me of. So far, this is stupid, but it's like the kind of internal stupidity that is, if you're into it, yeah, it's cool. Basically, people who look at Baki and don't think it's funny. Although I have nothing wrong with that. It's so over the top, though. It's very much, there's comedy in it. I know just enough to know just how weird it can get, man.
Entire thing is
How's it gonna
pretty
get
much
worse?
just power fantasy the game. They even make it a point to insult other fantasy role-playing games where, quote, the player character begins as a total dweeb, unable to survive even the most basic encounters. Look, I'm not saying that I agree with them, but I've played a level 1 wizard before, so I'll just say, I get it. The cover conveys this thought process pretty much perfectly. I mean, take a look at this fine, upstanding young gentleman. Why, he's on his way to help out at the local soup kitchen. Looking over the rules, they could be better. The language is...
Consult the Celestian and the Witch Hunter generation packages and take them all for your PC. Consult the appropriate racial and professional descriptions for more information. That seems like you're, it's power fantasy. Everyone's immediately too... I see where this goes.
confusing sometimes, and they fall...
I'm being told by Deadpan that this is... I thought Dead Earth was pretentious. Oh god, is this where it gets... So it's playing less into the power fantasy and more of just the author believing they're so much smarter than everyone else, and you get it in every single word. Oh no.
victim to the introducing terms before explaining them trap, but the mechanics seem to work pretty well together, all things considered.
Really?
There are also no massive ruling holes or unfinished bits like the other games on this list.
Yeah.
And while the end game after becoming an immortal can get dull
Wait, you can actually get to the end game? Oh.
after a while, there is a general emphasis on doing whatever causes the players to have the most power and the most fun.
And that last part is actually important because I've seen plenty of games, even good games, where fun is not the answer. Sometimes games are meant to be very fucked up. Some people like that. And hey, for them, that's fun. But intentionally building fun into the game is good. Why am I now going to be made very, very disturbed and depressed for everything I just said by comparison? Oh, remind me, because it's on this list and we saw what the previous one did.
So with this in mind, why is this game hated so much? Well, one reason that most people take a disliking to Sinzar is that it's just so dang full of itself.
Yeah.
That total dweeb...
We created the Sinzar system because we had to. If you're from old school of FRP, full reality player games, just like we are, then you probably know why we had to. Okay, yeah, no, I get it. You can't read this without wanting to punch someone in the face. And to be fair, very much does that. But it's mostly poking its fun at previous of its own game, and you kind of get the impression that it's mostly having fun at its own expense, as opposed to just being pretentious dicks. And I'm already getting that a lot.
line from earlier doesn't quite sit right when a lot of the people you're looking to have play your game are the fans of those other RPGs. Especially when you back that zinger up with, well, that's not the case at all in the Sinzar system.
But you probably don't introduce those systems yet, so you don't know why it's different, because that's something they do. Also, if you can hear it, my cat is at the door meowing because it's about time to feed them in a few minutes. And she's adorable and cute and pretty, and I want to pet her. And she's looking at the gate I have over my door, seeing if she can jump over and start chewing the sparky pasta. That's not a joke. She does this frequently, and she has tried. Her jump is getting higher somehow. It scares me. One of these days, I'm going to just have to start leaving the door closed because she will get in and find the sparky pasta. Now, if you don't know what I mean, have you ever seen, I think it's a Christmas movie where there's a grandma who brings her cat and it starts eating things like wires? Chevy Chase movie. Don't remember the name of it. But yeah, that.
Where no wimps are allowed. Aw man,
I'm
not
out.
again. The main reason that the game got the metaphorical pan to the head treatment though was due to the game's marketing, as thanks to the actions of those who made it, sins.
Okay, everyone, I thought I'd just point a few things out that show that the brain-damaged adolescents over at Nova Eth are guilty of everything we've accused them of, and they know it and are admitting it by their action. Oh, God, this is literally just a Redditor. This is literally just internet beef. This is literally just, I'm typing to prove you all wrong. Oh, no wonder this is no longer the worst, because it's become too normal.
Got off to a pretty poor first impression. See, when you make a new game, you gotta find a way to get some eyes on it, or else it's just going to fade away into obscurity. And in their attempt to do this, the creators of Sinzar pretty much turned their entire target market against them. Going back many a decade.
Yeah. Cosmic, so you? Nah, you actually made something. Granted, these people did as well, so still better than Reddit.
There was.
And I'm being told I was wrong. Necro says this is a 4chan post. You know what? I immediately go to Reddit because it's the only forum I really know that isn't space battles. I just read fiction there all the time. But yeah, no, 4chan is probably the more accurate one.
This thing called Usenet, which was a place that people could log on to in order to post chats or threads about specific topics.
Oh, never mind. It was the precursor to 4chan. Unironically was.
That is the best description that I can give. There's a lot more to it, but I wasn't alive at the time to use it. We're focused on Sinzar. Threads called Usenet, target market against them. Going back many a decade, there was this thing called Usenet, which was a place that people could log on to in order to
2000. The guy making the video said he wasn't around. I don't know. Oh, wow. I'm just going to go old in the corner. I thought it was like, oh, this is so old. It's the 90s. No, 2004. It's not even a joke.
Post chats or threads about specific topics. That is the best description that I can give.
Oh, why am I listening to this part again? Oh, no.
I wasn't alive at the time to use it. We're focused on Sinzar here. One of the communities on here was rec.games.frp.misc.
From the ancient times of February 2000. When everyone was so hopeful because Y2K hadn't happened and nothing bad would ever happen in the world again that would shake up the world order in a way that made people do things. Can you imagine if anything, maybe a year and say, I don't know, 7 months later would make this a very different sentence? Also, Netscape. Haven't seen that in literally decades.
Which was basically a group where people could discuss tabletop games and, most frequently, the burgeoning TTRPG scene of the late 90s. Sometime in 1996, a bunch of the creators of Sinzar would get onto rec.games and start talking about their game.
Yep, they started an internet flame war. That makes sense.
asking if people have heard about it, played it, liked it, bought it, and overall hyping up the game in an attempt to generate buzz around the newly released Sinzar. Very keyly, doing so without disclosing themselves as the creators.
I'm pretty sure what they're doing now is actually something that can get people in trouble. I'm not sure legally, but if it was paid sponsorship, it would. That's usually in videos, though. Not sure about the forums at the time. I don't think there would be any laws for... I hope there weren't any laws for it back then.
Now, it took me quite a while to be able to get access to this forum, as, shocker, Usenet was shut down over a decade ago, but luckily...
Wait, it went to the teens? Oh, it should. That's actually later than I thought.
Google Groups was able to recover some of...
And I'm assuming the next sentence is, and then Google Groups is gone and it's all gone forever.
the threads in there, and while most of the creator messages are...
I wonder if this would be something that the Internet Archive would still have. Also, a few very good reason that anything on the internet is not permanent, unless it's really embarrassing, and then people will make sure to save it. So only the worst parts of the internet will be saved. Worse to live by.
Lost to time, I was able to find one by a Bridget that shows what this kind of message would look like. Hi, I heard someone mention a new RPG called Sinzar and was wondering if anybody knows anything about it. Have any people done reviews of it, class-based or skill-based, combat or story-oriented?
I just realized why this felt familiar. This kind of bullshit marketing is literally the equivalent of a bot farm pumping out reviews on Amazon and all of the other online sellers that you know are false because they have nothing to do with it, but all you see are the top like 3 or 4 that are real people, and then that they have like 1,000 different reviews, and there's 1,000 people there, and they're all really good. So those 3 real reviews, they're like, this is fine. And then the 1,000 non-real ones behind, it's literally that. It's just the fake commentary to build up. Or it's like the people who hire people to go on comments and just say, hey, we're talking about this subject. I now have an opinion about it, and you must agree with me. Before you do it, if you have any certain topics online, anywhere, you will find these comments, but they're just basically bot comments where it's like, oh, insert random thing about any politically charged topic, and they'll just repeat themselves because there's people doing that. And I don't just mean like topics that are politically charged, but anyone who's getting into a topic that's, say, about a product that's trying to clean itself up. A lot of the time, you do actually have bot farms hired to just spam comments if certain keyword searches for any website that's crawling it find it. They're auto-generated. It's very common. They're basically doing this in person. If anything, these guys were ahead of their time in all of the worst ways. Yeah. Don't you just love reality that the thing that made this one of the most hated games is now considered common? I do love me some real.
Setting? I'm curious. Well, this effort did end up generating some buzz around the game, but it turned out that when people started looking through it, they really weren't too impressed with what they saw. And after people started hating on it, the creators started defending their game pretty heatedly.
So it's not even that they did it. They succeeded, but they didn't have the product to match. Which is even worse because it means they proved the concept. That makes it worse.
Now, people already did not enjoy the blatant advertising on their forums, and they especially did not enjoy getting attacked by the creators for giving their opinions.
I mean, at least this one didn't try and curse people. Because the previous video where we talked about the guy who was in a cult doing it. Yeah.
So they started hating on the game even more. The tide was turned again, however, when a bunch of independent Sinzar fans joined the conversation and started insulting those who were being mean to such a great game.
I do wonder if this game might have actually contributed to how obnoxious online commentary can be. Like, there's actually probably a significant amount of carryover for people who were angry at this, moving on to their own little niches when the internet moved beyond this network. There's a non-standard chance that everything I said is not bullshit, and I'm never going to look it up because I would be more terrified that it's real than looking up and finding out it is. One is bad, the other is also bad.
It was then discovered that this merry band of heroes were just the creators of the game again, using freshly made alternative accounts. Coming to your own rescue without realizing that people can check the age of the account, the post history, and the email associated with it. Not the best idea. After this was discovered, things reached their boiling point, and by April of 1997, you have lines upon lines of people hating on Sinzar, detailed lists of all the creators' fake accounts, detailed logs of all the creators' shenanigans, one doxing even, and just some of the most condensed hatred toward one product that I've seen.
Also, I didn't realize doxing would happen back in the 90s. I didn't think most people were technically savvy enough to understand it. Because if you wanted to find someone, you just get a phone book and they'd have all the info there anyways.
From what's supposed to be the target audience since the original live-action Sonic.
The live-action Sonic one worked out pretty well, though, because they fixed it. And I'm not going to doubt that a bunch of people bought Sinzar because that's how they found out it was shit. So they made the money.
I'm going to go out on a limb here. I don't think this panned out quite the way they wanted. So with the world's worst first impression out of the way, Sinzar quickly became legendary online for how much people despised it.
But it seems like it's inoffensive enough or just being bad. They're going to probably be in that case of we're going to check it out because of how bad it is category, as opposed to what it probably deserves as this is boring and move on.
Officially earning its spot as the...
And Pilot, you think I'm overestimating the scale here? Oh, entirely. But early internet traffic was much more condensed. It might not be as many people now, but those people who are already in it would probably move on to other forums to be the people more adept at them, the more common posters, and this level of vitriol would probably carry over to where they became more common. Which I wouldn't be surprised as 4chan or Reddit or any of the chans out there. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a lot of carryover. And Casper, how long will I go for the stream? I don't know. We're going to find out when my camera dies.
Final member of the original Unholy Trinity. Did the game deserve this distinction? Probably not. Did the product deserve this distinction? You could certainly make an argument. Overall, Sinzar is a less than stellar RPG.
So it sounds like it's more outside the game that's bad.
Depths due to the actions of its creators and them alone. Not one of the worst by far, but definitely one of the most loathed.
Yeah.
But if the spawn of Fashawn was the one who laid the foundation, and Sinzar was the one to complete the trio...
No. I have my limit. We are at my limit. That is my limit. This is as far as we're going on this one because the Yaoi Vampires was already bad enough, man. I'm seeing a distinct through line here where there's a lot of incels making games that do really bad. And then there's just Sinzar, which is just people who can't take a hint, who made a game and then decided to go full-on keyboard warrior. This is cool. I like seeing it. I like how some of these ideas are actually really good and might actually be useful. And the Spawn, despite terrible character creation, this fighting's format, if put into a digital format, seemed like it actually might be really interesting because there's a lot of really unique variables you can play with. And when you're not doing it in pen and paper, it becomes less of a wanting to accidentally commit murder on purpose with a knife and a potato peeler. And anything you can find on hand to make someone stop the pain of having to consider doing that in person. Yeah. I'm not saying I'd have opinions about doing that, but there would be a very big difference. Yeah. But whatever's coming next is going to be worse. And that scares me. Because this is the last of the old school worst games, which means we have a whole new level of horrible after this. And oh God, we're going to get to it. Oh God. So for everyone watching, thanks. This is a good video and I like it, but it's also really hard to watch sometimes. Not the worst thing, not the craziest thing, not the most disturbing thing. Often handy lately, that's you. But it's definitely a thing, all right. So you guys know the deal. Link below. Hit it up. I'll see you in the next one. Adios.